Today, we're diving into a story that gets at a really universal feeling. What happens when you pour your entire heart and soul into something, and then you have to watch it completely fail? We're going to break down a passage from Jacob chapter 5, which looks at this whole experience from the perspective of a creator who's grappling with the total loss of something they loved. I mean, really think about it for a second. Have you ever had a project where you gave it everything? All your time, your energy, your hope, and it just falls apart? It's a gut-wrenching feeling, right? Well, that's the emotional core of the allegory we're digging into today. All right, so the story kicks off with the Lord of the Vineyard and his servant. They're basically down to their last shred of hope, these natural branches they scattered and planted a long, long time ago. You can almost feel the tension, you know? This is it, the final anxious look to see if anything worked out. The question that's just hanging in the air is simple, but man, is it heavy. After all this time, after being sent to the nethermost parts, the farthest corners of the world, did these branches make it? Did they produce anything good at all? The weight of this final check-in really sets the stage for everything that's about to happen. Now, just so we're all on the same page with this allegory, let's nail down the terms. These natural branches, they aren't just literal tree limbs. They represent scattered groups of ancient Israelites. And the nethermost parts, well, that's just a way of saying the ends of the earth. They were sent a long, long way from home. So what do they find when they get to these faraway places? Well, let's just say it is not the good news they were hoping for. What they uncover is a failure so total, so absolutely devastating, it's almost hard to comprehend. And there it is. The verdict is in, and it's absolutely brutal. It wasn't just a few branches that went bad. Nope. Every single one of the scattered branches had become corrupt. The failure was total. Complete. 100%. Just let that sink in for a second. There were no partial successes, no silver linings here. Every single effort ended in corruption. And with that awful fact laid bare, the story zooms in on one last specific branch, the final one. And the language here gets even darker, if you can believe it. This isn't just about fruit going bad anymore. This last branch was completely overtaken, to the point where it withered away and just died. The bad didn't just spoil the good, it completely extinguished it. So what's this last branch all about? Well, a common interpretation is that it's an allegory for Lehi's colony in ancient America, which famously split into two nations. The good fruit represents the Nephites, who built this incredible civilization, while the wild fruit represents their rivals, the Lamanites. And, just like the verse says, the wild fruit ultimately overran and destroyed the good. Now, this verdict of total failure, this brings us to the absolute emotional heart of the whole passage. We shift from the what happened to the who it happened to, and his profound, gut-wrenching reaction. Before we see the reaction, just think about it. What would you expect? Anger? Wrath? Some kind of cosmic vengeance? Well, the story takes a much, much different and way more personal turn. Wow, I mean, this moment is just so incredibly powerful. The Lord of the Vineyard doesn't rage, he doesn't get angry, he grieves, he actually weeps. And then he asks this absolutely heartbreaking question, what more could I have done? His response is one of deep personal tragedy and sorrow, not divine anger. And with that, he's basically declaring that it's over. The last hope is officially gone. Everything, even the parts that were once good, is now corrupt. The whole project, the entire vineyard, is now only fit for the fire. But why? What made this particular failure sting so much? To really get the depth of the sorrow here, you have to look at the investment, especially the investment in that one final failed branch. Even as he's talking about destroying everything, his thoughts go right back to that last branch. And he makes a point to say this wasn't just some random plot of land. He says he planted it in a good spot of ground, a piece of land considered choice above all others, which many see as the Americas. This detail really drives home the tragedy. This branch was given every possible advantage to succeed. And the prep work went even deeper than that. He reminds the servant that before he even planted this special branch, he cleared the land. He removed an entire previous civilization, the Jaredites by interpretation, that was cumbering the ground, all just to create the perfect spot. I mean, think about the scale of that preparation. This wasn't just some casual gardening project. This was an endeavor of almost cosmic care and investment. And that just makes its ultimate failure all the more heartbreaking. And this brings us to the final heavy reflection on why it all went so wrong. And the answer, it turns out, is a deep and painful irony. And there it is. The Lord basically points out that his own mercy, the fact that he spared the wild roots and didn't just destroy them from the get-go, is what allowed them to grow strong enough to eventually overwhelm and kill the good branch. An act of mercy didn't lead to change. It led to destruction. So, what's the big takeaway from all this? When you pour everything you have into something and it still fails, what's the right response? Well, according to the story, it isn't some fiery divine anger. It's deep, personal sorrow over what was lost. And it just leaves you wondering, doesn't it? It's a profound story about loss, sure, but it also raises these huge questions about the complicated, messy dance between free will, divine mercy, and the sometimes painful and totally unavoidable consequences of our choices.